Far beyond the noise of crowded streets and the restless glow of city lights, there once lived a woman who chose to disappear into the breathing heart of the Amazon rainforest. While others sought comfort, recognition, or the certainty of familiar routines, Margaret Mee devoted her life to something far quieter and infinitely more fragile. She pursued flowers that bloomed only under moonlight, hidden deep within the humid shadows of the jungle, where silence carried more meaning than words ever could. On nights when the rain softened into mist and the forest exhaled its endless chorus of insects, frogs, and unseen wings, she would sit beside a dim lantern with paint-stained fingers and damp pages spread across her lap. In those moments, surrounded by darkness and the scent of wet earth, she felt closer to peace than she ever had within the polished walls of civilized life. Margaret Mee did not enter the rainforest as a conqueror or adventurer seeking glory. She entered it as a listener. She believed nature revealed itself only to those patient enough to wait without demanding answers. The Amazon became not merely a destination, but a living presence that slowly reshaped her understanding of beauty, solitude, and time itself. In her younger years, the modern world had already begun exhausting her. Cities moved too quickly. Conversations felt shallow. Everything seemed trapped within endless cycles of urgency and distraction. Yet somewhere deep inside her remained a longing for stillness, for something untouched by ambition and noise. When she first heard stories of the Amazon and its mysterious moonflower that bloomed only for a few short hours at night, she felt an almost spiritual pull toward it. The moment she stepped into the rainforest, the world behind her seemed to dissolve. The jungle was unlike anything she had imagined. Moisture clung to every surface. Giant leaves dripped steadily beneath heavy clouds. Strange cries echoed through distant trees while tangled vines twisted endlessly toward unseen heights. Even the darkness felt alive. At first, the immensity of the rainforest unsettled her. Civilization had taught her to divide the world into manageable pieces, but the jungle refused such neat boundaries. Everything here existed together in overwhelming intimacy. Yet slowly, the forest began teaching her another way to exist. Days passed in patient observation. She learned how morning light filtered differently through certain leaves. She learned how flowers unfolded according to rhythms invisible to hurried minds. She watched insects crawl across bark polished by rain, and noticed how silence in the rainforest was never truly empty. It breathed softly through every layer of life. Margaret spent countless nights waiting for rare flowers to bloom. Sometimes she waited for hours in complete darkness, listening only to the distant sound of water moving somewhere beyond the trees. There was no guarantee the flower would appear. No promise that nature would reveal its secret simply because she desired it. But she waited anyway. That waiting changed her. The loneliness that might have broken another person instead became a kind of quiet strength within her. Removed from society's constant demands, she discovered how deeply healing solitude could be when approached without fear. In the rainforest, she no longer needed to perform or explain herself. The jungle asked for nothing except attention and respect. Her sketchbooks became her closest companions. Their pages absorbed humidity until they curled softly at the edges, stained by rainwater and marked with careful lines drawn under flickering lantern light. Through these drawings, she preserved not only the shapes of plants and flowers, but also the emotional atmosphere surrounding them. Each illustration carried the stillness of midnight air, the scent of moss, the trembling beauty of fragile petals unfolding beneath the moon. The moonflower itself became more than a botanical subject to her. It became a symbol of everything fleeting and pure within existence. Blooming only briefly during the night before fading again by dawn, the flower reminded her that beauty often appears most fully when no crowds are watching. Some things are not meant to last forever. Their value lies precisely in their impermanence. Years passed, and the rainforest slowly stripped away the identities the outside world had once placed upon her. She was no longer simply an artist or traveler. The jungle changed the rhythm of her thinking, softened her relationship with time, and dissolved the illusion that human beings stood apart from nature. She became quieter, more observant, more patient. Even hardship began to feel strangely meaningful. The oppressive heat, the insects, the endless mud, and the physical exhaustion no longer seemed like obstacles. They became part of the experience itself, reminders that beauty and discomfort often exist side by side. Margaret understood that true intimacy with nature required surrender. The rainforest could not be controlled or mastered. It could only be entered humbly. As she grew older, her body carried the marks of decades spent in difficult landscapes. Her hands became worn and weathered from years of sketching beneath rainstorms and carrying supplies through tangled undergrowth. Yet her eyes never lost their brightness. There remained within her a quiet purity, something untouched by cynicism or regret. When she looked back upon her paintings in later years, she no longer saw only botanical studies. She saw fragments of her own life intertwined with the forest itself. Every flower contained a memory. Every leaf carried traces of nights spent listening to rain strike the canopy overhead. The Amazon had become inseparable from her inner world. Perhaps that was the true reason she stayed so long. The rainforest gave her something the modern world could not offer. It gave her permission to slow down. It taught her that meaning does not always arrive through achievement or recognition. Sometimes meaning grows quietly through devotion, patience, and deep attention to small things. Sometimes peace emerges not from escaping loneliness, but from learning to sit gently beside it. Even now, long after her journeys ended, her story drifts through the imagination like warm mist rising from the forest floor at dusk. There is something deeply comforting in the image of a solitary woman sitting beneath towering trees, waiting peacefully for a flower to bloom beneath the moonlight. Tonight, as the fire burns low and the room grows quieter around you, imagine the rainforest breathing softly in the darkness. Imagine silver moonlight touching wide green leaves while distant water moves slowly through unseen rivers. Somewhere within that endless jungle, a pale flower quietly opens itself to the night. Let the noise within your mind loosen its grip now. Let your thoughts drift like mist between the trees. Release the weight of unfinished worries and allow yourself to rest inside this slower rhythm. And as sleep gently finds you, may you discover the same calm Margaret Me once found deep within the cool and timeless heart of the Amazon rainforest.